Okay, I think we're live. I think we're going now. So let's get disclaimers out of the way. We'll jump right into it. This is a weekly live broadcast. Pretty much every Thursday evenings, 8 o'clock Central Time right now is when we're doing this. Go for about an hour. I don't have anything planned out. I just do my best to respond to all the chat that comes in during the broadcast itself, the live chat itself. And the only things I ask is be polite, be family friendly. Don't start cussing at us or any of those things. We'll have to kick you out. Other than that, I mean, good disagreements are fine. We can disagree. We can have good, healthy debates. Those are all good. Don't hate somebody for having a difference of opinion than you. Don't be hateful with anybody or rude or any of those kinds of things. We're all good other than that. So let's get into it. We got Bonsai Kitai, maybe? Is that how that's pronounced? Good to see you. So and Tara says, I might have to miss the chat today. I hope everyone is doing well and everyone is healthy. Well, thank you for joining for at least a short while. I'm doing well. Hopefully you are too. We got Blessed with Pets here that's going to make it tonight. Good to see you, Blessed with Pets. Chief the BC Gamer, Joe Sandry, RBL Jackson, Spartman. We got a whole bunch of people. Oh, Spartman says, don't forget to plug in the mic. I think I got it plugged in. If you guys can't hear me, you'll let me know, but nobody's saying that yet. So I think I remembered everything today. Thanks for the reminder, though. I appreciate that. I've done that before. Hey, there's Don S. Says, good evening, all from South Central Illinois. 7th like. Thank you. Silver Creek Aquatics. Good to see you. And Tony, guy, hard last name from Toronto. Good to see you, too. Ed Got Bates says, hey, Chris, don't think Verna will make it. She's sick. Oh, no. I will pray for her, and hopefully she gets better very soon. Thanks for letting me know. Bob Cole says, good evening to everyone. Joe Sandry says, starting to get eggs from my hens finally. Well, that's awesome. It always seems like they take forever, and then all of a sudden, there they go. Yeah, so good. I'm glad to hear that they're laying. Scott Olkak from Olkak, I don't know if I pronounced that right or not, but from Texas, good to see you. So, let's see. Chief the BC Gaming says, please pray for Vay because she is still sick. Yeah, absolutely. We'll be praying for her and for her healing. Silver Creek Aquatics, good to see you. Don says the Halloween hatch was 16 out of 16 or 100% hatch rate, all on day 18 on Halloween. How strange is that? That is almost unheard of, 100% hatch rate. Now, let me ask you, did you candle them before lockdown and then remove any that weren't developed at that point? Or did you start with 16 eggs completely and got all 16 to hatch? I got to know. Ben says, hey, hi all. Ben from Black Bear Family Farms in southeast Idaho. Hello to you too. Dawn says, oh, I hope Verna gets well soon. I'm sorry she is still sick. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that too. Buster, good to see you too. Jacob Wolf says, hey all, Chris, I really enjoyed the cooking video. Looking forward to more to expand my recipes. Well, I'll see what I can do. I will get some more out soon, I'm sure. Thank you, though, by the way. I appreciate you letting me know. I'm glad you liked it. Blessed with Pets says, how long can a buck stay heat sterile? There's my second time breeding the same 6 does to him. The first time none took, and this time they are all due next week, but I really don't think they're pregnant. Well, you never know. I mean, it's very hard to tell if a rabbit's pregnant or not, so prepare for your, kindling anyway. Bucks can stay sterile. I mean, after, if the temperatures, it's hard to say. There's no set, fast rule on it, how long they're going to stay sterile, if they're even going to go sterile because of the heat. But, if it goes over 80 degrees, there is a chance a buck can go sterile. It's temporary. When the temperatures drop back down, they will become fertile again, but, that could take a week or two. I don't really know the exact number on it. It's just very hard to know, exactly how that's going to work. Ed says she has a bronchitis, and so does my wife. Well, prayers for both of them for a speedy recovery on that. Bronchitis is not fun. And Blessed with Pets says all of my rabbits are under 2.5 years old. Well, they're good then. You should get. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't have big kindling in the next week. Silver Creek Aquatics says, finally worked out the deal with our local feed store down the road from me. The owner is the mayor of our town. He is selling quail eggs for me, and I get store credit for feed and such. Well, that's awesome. That's a pretty good deal to have. Don says, I candled and removed infertile. Even Hatchkeeper says it was 100% of fertile eggs. Okay, that's not how I count fertile, or how I count that. It's not necessarily when you candle them, it's not necessarily that they're infertile. It just means they didn't develop for one reason or another. If you want to count it as 100% hatch rate, then that's, go for it. That's cool. But that's not how I count it. I count my hatch rate based on the number of eggs I set at the beginning, not how many of them, I don't even candle them and pull them out usually. I just let them go and see what hatches. But that's just a difference of opinion. That's okay. RBL Jackson says, going to release our first batch of Bob Whites this week out into the Hunt area. Decided to wait until after our cold front moved through. It was 27 degrees the other day, back to the 60s now. Yeah, we're kind of the same way. We've had pretty chilly in the mid to low 20s going in at night, and then only getting up to like 40 during the day for really the past couple of days. And then, of course, the weekend's going to come around when I have time. I can go hunting, and it's going to be 75 degrees out again, but that's okay. Scrap 5000 here says, what's up, all? Greetings from New York City. Smash the like button. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Hey, Verna made it. Says, evening, everyone. Let's see how long I last tonight. Hey, don't feel like you have to last at all. If you're not feeling well, take the night off. Go rest, go recuperate. But, I appreciate you stopping by for sure. We're going to be praying for you for your speedy healing and recovery. But don't feel like you're obligated to be here. You can, take some time for yourself, get better. Spider Reva says, hello, everyone. Can mosquitoes be harmful for the quails? Any advice to reduce the mosquitoes around the quail? Well, okay. I guess mosquitoes could technically be harmful to them. I've never experienced any kind of issues, but I don't have a huge mosquito problem. We get them, but I don't have a huge problem. As far as reducing mosquitoes, I don't know how well I can speak to that because, like I said, I don't have huge problems with mosquitoes, but, eliminate standing water. That is one thing. Make sure there's not a bunch of standing water around that they can breed and then, lay eggs in. That could be, old tires laying around, anything that's going to hold any water. And it doesn't take much, just a little bit of water that can help with, that can increase your mosquito population. And I'm sure that some other people will have some advice for you, but I really don't have a huge mosquito problem, so I don't know of good advice other than that. Don says says get well soon, Daverna. Prayers to get well. Buster says, Don, I got 70 out of 100 on Halloween hatch. I didn't candle. So, well, that's still pretty good. 78% hatch rate. That's great. That's how I would count it. 78%. When I do my hatches, that's how I do them. I don't candle. I just let them go usually. I have candled before, but I just don't usually mess with it. And then I count that out of the eggs I set. Tobin says, how many square feet per rabbit in your cages? Are we talking, are you asking me how many square feet per rabbit in my cages? Well, let's see. My cages are 36 inches by 30 inches. So how many square feet is that? That's about, what is that, like 6 square feet roughly? I can't do the math. So six square feet, I think, is about what that is. Maybe probably a little over, actually. And I have one rabbit in each one. Now, whenever the does kindle, all their babies stay with them until they're like 6 weeks old, 6.5 weeks old at least. And then, so there's a very few. There's like probably, 12 rabbits in there. Well, so up to 10 or 11 rabbits in that cage, but most of them are babies for a short while. So yeah, I don't know exactly how many there is, but hopefully that gives you an idea. Joe Sandry says, I've discovered my sand in the sandbox is damp. Not sure if it's a leak or if it's from the birds respirating, but will it hurt the quail? Should I empty it and try again with new sand? It's probably a leak. That would be my guess. The only time I've ever had any kind of wet sand in my sandboxes, it's from a leak, from water getting in. The birds themselves don't have that much moisture, so it never is enough to cause any kind of wetness in the sand. It shouldn't bother them. The only thing I might be concerned about would be if it stayed wet for a very long time, then you might lead to like mold issues and things like that, which definitely could bother them, the respiratory system and things. Or if it freezes, damp and freezing are not good combinations. So, I mean, yeah, maybe something you don't necessarily have to throw it out. You can just, pull some out, let it dry, set it out in the sun and let it dry. You probably have to spread it pretty thin to let it dry really good. Figure out where it's leaking, get that leak repaired, that kind of thing. We got Princess Cruiser from Osaka, Japan. Well, hello. Thanks for joining us. Blessed with Pets says, well, the reason I didn't think they took is because some were lifting when I scratched their hind end like they want to breed again. Well, yeah, but that's not necessarily a sign that they didn't take. They just may want to be scratched. Who knows? Verna says she got 23 out of 28 on the Halloween hatch. That's pretty good. I got somewhere about, I don't remember exactly how many eggs I set and how many I hatched. And mine hatched out long before Halloween. But the ones I got from my shire, I got somewhere around an 80% hatch rate on those. It was pretty good. Jacob says, is the Farm Innovations heated water bottle with the nipple any good? My rabbit crocs are already starting to freeze with the temps here in Ohio. This is my first winter with rabbits. I have not used them, so I can't tell you whether they work well or not. I mean, I assume that they would probably work well if you keep them out of the wind. I have a heated waterer for my quail that I use, and it has little nipples on the sides. It works great. But you do have to keep it out of the wind. If it's open to the wind, it will freeze up at the nipples themselves. So I would assume it would work, but I don't have an experience with them. I don't know. What I use is rubber crocs, so I can just knock the ice out of them. I basically just toss them on the ground, stomp on the back of them to knock the ice out, and that's what I do. But you might give them a try. I don't really know. I haven't used them. Let's see. Verna says, thanks. The doctor came today, gave me lots of meds for this. Well, hopefully that means you're on the mend. I did have a doctor appointment today. Had to do a follow-up with my cardiologist from when I had stents put in way back at the beginning of the year. You guys may remember me talking about that if you've been around for a while. And everything looks good. So I'm doing well. Got a follow-up appointment again with him in another year just to make sure. Don says, my quail chase mosquitoes and gnats when they get in their cage. Yeah, I imagine they do. Also, if you have bats, I mean, we have lots of bats around. Not right now because it's pretty cold out, but during the summer, we have lots of bats flying around. They'll eat lots of mosquitoes. So maybe put up some bat houses, see if you can draw them in. Let's see. There's Orlando, or Orozco, maybe I'm getting that right. I don't know. But hopefully I pronounced it right or didn't get it too bad. It says hello to everyone. Hello to you too. Blessed with Pets says, oh my gosh, I just saw my first fry in my platy balloon. What? We're talking about fish, aren't we? Okay. First baby fish in your platy balloon molly community tank. Okay. Well, congratulations on that. RBL Jackson says, yes, we're going deer hunting this weekend as well. Opening for rifle season. It's go time. Anyone have tips for dealing with flies? We have hatching time cages in the garage and flies are bad. Well, clean them out, get them emptied out pretty good. I've used those fly traps before. They do a pretty good job, like the big bag style. Smell pretty bad. But, I mean, not that bad. It's not, maybe in a garage it might be a little bad. I've used them outside, and they've done a pretty good job of catching lots of flies. Those would be the things I would suggest, and just lots of cleaning. That's the only problem with keeping animals in the house or in closed-in areas is you got to empty dropping trays and things like that pretty regularly. Silver Creek Aquatic says, if mosquitoes are in a pond or even somewhere a large body of water than a fish pond, get some Gambusia mosquito fish. They're cold tolerant and eat mosquito larvae. That's true. In fact, pretty much any fish will eat mosquito larvae. That's why you don't generally see mosquito problems in any kind of pond that has fish in it. So yeah, if you've got a pond or something, fish, that's your solution. Scrap 5000 says that's almost 9 square feet for my rabbit cages. Yeah, I knew I was off on the math, but it was just kind of a rough guess. Verna says, blessings all. I don't know if that means you're clocking out for the night, but if it is, like I said, get better, and thanks for stopping by. Blessed with Pets says they're also lifting for my buck again, but I didn't let them get a fall off because I'm going to sell some does. Well, give them a week, see how they do. Try again if they don't take for some reason. Silver Creek says if the pond dries out and you're worried about the life of the fish, you can put them in a large planter pot with a small fountain in it through the winter in your house, or in a 10-gallon for the winter. That's good advice. Bless says, and I palpated and really don't feel anything like I usually do. Yeah, palpating is really, really, really hard to do, though. So, just because you didn't feel anything doesn't mean it's not there. But, all you can do is wait and see. Wait and see, and if it didn't work, try again. That's really all you can do. Let's see. Rabbit Homesteading says, I don't know, just jumped in, but dragonflies eat more mosquitoes than bats. Well, that's true. We have a lot of dragonflies, too. So between the bats and the dragonflies, maybe that's why we don't have a bunch of a big time mosquito problem. Plus the drought probably this year helped with that too. Practical Junk says, hello from Tennessee. Been fighting the cold nights. Usually a pleasure to be able to be here. Oh, always a pleasure to be able to be here. Well, I'm glad you're here too. Thanks for joining. Yeah, it got kind of cold a little bit quick tonight. Must be all that global warming. I say that tongue in cheek. I'm just kidding. I think we had a record low on Halloween night. I think it got down to 20 degrees overnight. And then Willie Aquatics Farm says something that looks like it's in German. I don't know what that is. Buster said quick strike fly bait. There you go. Quick strike fly bait. I'm not real familiar with it, but I'm guessing it works. Red Arrow Tinker from Wisconsin. Good to see you. Silver Creek says, Guinea don't handle skeeters in Texas. You don't need thousands of them. BT Bacillus something is great, and fish plant safe and kills all. Oh, okay. So BT Bacillus thuringiensis, I guess is how it's pronounced, is great, and fish/plant safe, kills all larvae in a body of water. So is that like the mosquito dunks that they sell? Is that what those are? I've seen those before where you can put those in. It's the same BT that we use in our gardens to kill caterpillar and other larvae. Yeah, okay, well that makes sense. I didn't know it would work on mosquito larvae, but yeah, it works. It's a naturally occurring. You can still be considered organic when you're using it because it is a naturally occurring bacteria, basically. Hey, there's War Child. Good to see you. Silver Creek says dragonflies are amazing. I missed that one. They are savage hunters. Yeah, they do a pretty good job. I see them. Right now it's getting too cold out for them. They're not around, but I do see them quite frequently in the summer and the spring. They're just flying around our yard in the evening time. Silver Creek says we got down to 29 for 3 nights in a row here in Texas, and I managed to save our squash and cucumber that are about 2 months into their growth, just starting to put on fruit. Well, nice. I'm glad you got them saved. Joe Sandry says, unfortunately, that heated water pail for the quail that you use is too tall for my hutch. Any suggestions, though, about maybe using a bird bath heater? Well, you could try it. I don't know, honestly. I've never looked at that, but yeah, why not? Give it a try. Find a shallow dish. You can buy those nipples that are on there. You could just replicate that whole setup with the hot water heater and, put your own nipples on a bucket of any kind that would hold water that, is short enough to go inside your hutch. See if that works. Why not? What I used for the quail before I had the heated water was very similar to my feeders. It's a Tupperware style container. I just cut holes in the side for them to stick their heads through. But it has a lid on it. And that's kind of important, especially in the wintertime when you're watering, because quail, if it doesn't have a lid on it, they're going to get inside of it. And they're going to get wet. They're going to freeze to the cage or something like that. Or if nothing else, they're going to get in there and just foul it all up. It's going to be nasty as can be. But I would just take one in and let it thaw while I filled another one up and put it out there for them. So that's kind of how I did it. Let's see. RBL Jackson's going to give the quick strike fly bait a try. Hopefully that works. Silver Creek says, I would definitely separate the babies. There's always a chance that the adults may accidentally nip at them and eat them. The babies love green water if you have access. So water with lots of algae. Oh, you're talking fish again. Says they will thrive off of the microbiology from the algae itself. Lots of tiny critters live in that algae, and the fry will eat it. Basically, Procelia and Xiphophorus, I guess. Okay, interesting. Joe Sandry says, yep, that's what I'm using for now. Tupperware with holes in it. And so, yeah, that worked. I mean, it works pretty well. It if you have a heated one, it does make life a little bit easier, but it really wasn't that big a deal for me to just bring fresh water out to them every day. Scrap 5000 says Rangers 2-1. I don't know what that means. Oh, is that baseball? I thought the Rangers won the World Series. Am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong, but wouldn't that be more than 2-1, 2 games to 1? I guess. I don't know. Silver Creek says you can even add a little salt for the mollies. It's really good for them to grow up in just a little bit of salt in the water because they can run brackish and salt water as well. And then, okay, I'm going to let you guys keep talking fish to yourselves. Don S. says, I have tried a Tupperware with holes in it 3 times and they wouldn't stick their heads in it. I think they can't see the water, LOL. Really? Oh, Scrap 5000 says, okay, LOL, the Rangers is the New York hockey team. Okay, I had no idea. I'm not on that. So, Don, no, that's kind of weird. They wouldn't stick their head in it. Did you give them enough time? Because if they get thirsty enough, they should be looking for water anywhere and find it. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. I don't know. I mean, the only other things I can suggest is, my birds know what the water jug looks like. They know that means I'm bringing water. So, maybe try watering them in an open container where they can easily find the water and make sure they see you putting water in it. And then when you come back with the closed container and they see you putting water in it, they'll figure out the water's there maybe. I don't know. That's just a thought. So I said the Latin Greek names perfectly for the mollies and platies and guppies. Mollies and guppies are Poacelia. Platies are Xiphophorus. Okay. Yeah, Don's saying the same thing I think I just did. Yeah, maybe that would work if they see me putting water in it. I never had problems with birds finding water. When they get thirsty, they go looking for it, and I've never had problems with them finding it. But I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit different. Let me see what that notification was. Oh, nothing important. So we're talking fish again, which is fine. You guys can talk fish all you want. But I'm out of comments to answer. Nobody's talking. How many people we got in here? We got 37 people in here. And nobody's got a question or something that we need to talk through. I did have some comments on, and I don't know who it was. I just remember seeing the comments come through. On my rooster hutch that I've got all my roosters in right now. They're growing out. They're not quite of age yet. I mean, I heard them starting to try to crow already, but they're not nowhere near of age yet. But so far, no issues with them fighting with each other or anything like that. I did have one that died for whatever reason, but there were no signs of injury or anything like that on them. So I don't think it was the other birds. I think it was just a failure to thrive kind of situation. So somebody had asked, though, if we're able to keep them together without them fighting. I don't plan on keeping them together that long, so I don't know that I'll be able to answer that question like long term, would they fight or not? I don't see any reason to keep roosters for a very long time. I'm just growing them out to processing size, basically, and then I'm going to be processing. Scrap 5000 says, Chris, any chance that you were able to check out my family's sausage recipe on the Two Guys in a Cooler channel? Look for Southern Italian Farmers Sausage, Season 4, Episode 8. I've got it pulled up, ready to watch, but I have not watched it yet. It's actually another tab right here. I just clicked over to it to make sure it was still there. So I did look it up. I got it queued up, but I haven't watched it yet. I don't know why. I just haven't done that yet. I've been tied up in some other things and, haven't got a chance. Scott says, sorry, but we don't know hockey in South Texas. Hard to imagine ice here. Yeah, I know what you mean. I lived in Texas for a while. Jennifer says, can rabbits eat alfalfa pellet? Yeah, that's primarily what rabbit pellets are, is alfalfa. They're almost always based on alfalfa. So alfalfa is perfectly fine for them. Yes, they can eat that. You're doing the right thing. Joe Sandry says, my coop doesn't have poop trays. The poop falls straight to the ground. I'm terrified one of these mornings I'll go out and find some of my quail with no toes. I'm not sure what to prevent that. Oh, worried about it from the standpoint. Why are you worried about it happening to them? Like something grabbing their toes to the bottom of the cage? If that's what you're worried about, you could put another row of wire just that far underneath the top row, and that will prevent anything from getting from underneath up to them. If you're worried about some other reason, let me know, and we'll see if we can address that. I've had quail lose toes every once in a while. It doesn't seem to really bother them that much, but yeah, it's always best to avoid it if you can. Jacob says, do you have a good bourbon chicken or quail recipe that can make a video on? I'm hungry for some good bourbon chicken. No, I'm not a big fan of bourbon, so I never even thought about cooking with it. I don't know. Joe Sandry says maybe electric fence. Electric fence works too. But, somebody has suggested to me last time I had a problem with the fox, which I did put an electric fence up. It's not even hooked up anymore, but he hasn't been back. But people suggested to me just put another row of wire under it. And I was like, duh, why didn't I think of that? Silver Creek Aquatics says, comments on the importance of dust for quail while combating insulating nesting material throughout the winter, such as shavings, etc. Build a separate dust area that shavings can't reach or part of it. So don't want your shavings in your dust. Is that what you're saying? That makes sense. I never have built anything like an insulating thing from they do just fine if they can get out of the wind and out of the weather. The sandbox is all that mine use, and it's perfectly all right. But yeah, that's probably good advice. Sparkman says, I have a bunch of chickens who refuse to go into their coop. I've locked them inside for almost 2 weeks in this summer, and I've gone out and walked them into the coop, still stay outside. Some chickens are like that. I don't know a good solution for that. It seems like as it got colder, they'd want to go back into the coop, but I don't know. Scrap 5000 says, Chris, is a giveaway coming soon. I want a knife sharpening system on the Two Guys in a Cooler channel, so I'm feeling lucky. Yeah, it's coming through. It's coming soon. I was just talking to my wife about that. I need to do it. Probably give me a week or two at the most. I know I keep saying the next couple of weeks, but really I just need to get going. There's a couple of things I'm trying to work out. I got some good things to give away, and I want to make sure I get everything I can before I, announce it. Bob says, question, how do you keep, and by the way, congratulations on your knife sharpening win. I don't know what kind of system you won, but congratulations on that. Hopefully it's a good one. And good luck with the Knicks giveaway that I'm doing here in a week or two. Bob Cole says, question, how do you keep the sand in the enclosed side when you open the door? I copied your hutch, and there's a 2x4 that they get on and kick a lot of sand on. I lose a little bit of sand, not much though. It gets in between. There's a 2x4 up against the door. So when I open the door, there's still a 2x4 there. And there's some sand that gets in between that and the door itself that I lose, but it's not much. I don't have a huge problem with that. So I don't know. The 2x4 itself seems to do a pretty good job of keeping it contained. I don't add sand, but maybe once a year at the most. Blessed with Pet says, yeah, I've got to get a second tanks. Okay, talking fish again. I'm going to skip that one. Practical Junk says, I'm curious if I can feed my quail garlic. Just started a large garlic bed with 150 bulbs. Almost all started to sprout this past week. I'm sure I will have more than enough. Yeah, I don't think garlic is, I want to say garlic is toxic to, let me see real quick. Let me do a search on this real quick. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. I'm getting some things here that say small amounts of garlic can be good for chickens and things. So if they're good for chickens, they're probably good for other things too. But everything I've heard says don't feed large amounts of garlic to animals. And I may be wrong on that one. We'll see if somebody else has some advice. Joe Sandry says, yeah, I have raccoons and feral cats. Okay, so that's probably what you're worried about. So yeah, a electric fence, or like I said, just add a row of wire underneath the other one, and that should solve it. We have feral cats around here, a lot of them, and I've never had a feral cat mess with any of my quail. The only thing I've ever had really, I've had raccoons try to get to the hutch. I've caught them on the trail cam where they're standing in front of it, reaching up, but they give up pretty quick. They haven't been able to get to it. They haven't been able to figure it out. The only time I've ever had anything get to the actual quail and like I said, pull toes off them was a fox that was getting under the hutch and he was grabbing their feet and pulling their legs and toes off and stuff through the bottom of the wire. But that's it. Nothing else has been able to get to them. Clifton says, hello, everyone from South Mississippi. Are you still using PVC frame rabbit hutches? If so, how are they holding up? Well, I just use them for a grow out pen, though. I'm not using them as a permanent, they're not permanent rabbit hutches, if that makes sense, but they're still holding up just fine. I don't have anything in them right now. They're empty. And I just use them whenever after I bred and I need the rabbits to move out of the hutch from their mom. And that's just the grow out pens. That's all it is. So they're only used temporarily for a short period of time, but they're holding up just fine right now. Silver Creek says, not sure garlic is a way to get fish to eat their food or medication. They start to swim. They start to swarm when they smell garlic. Interesting. I have used garlic scented baits when I'm fishing, so that makes sense. Emma said, how are we doing on time? Yeah, 8:30. We're good. Emma says, hey, Chris. Hi, everyone. Glad to make my first live here. It is 1:30 a.m. here in the UK, but I love your channel content, Chris, and I wanted to thank you for all the info that you care to share with us all. Well, thank you so much for the kind comment. I appreciate that very much. Scott says, sending a BL your way. Love your videos. Keep it up. I don't know what that means exactly, but thank you very much. I appreciate that. Scrap says, I had a cat kill 3 of my quail. They ripped them to pieces through an indoor hutch that someone sold me, and he swore that it would be safe outdoors. He was very wrong. Oh, no. Yeah, that would be frustrating for sure. I could see cats will do significant damage to your quail if they could get to them, I'm sure. But so far, I have not had that issue. None of them have got to any of my quail. I think part of that is because as high as it sits, they can't really get underneath it because it sits too high. They could climb up there, I suppose, and get on top or something like that, but they haven't at this point. So I don't know. Maybe it'll happen at some point. But like I said, the only thing that's ever gotten to any of my quail was a fox. That was it. Well, I had a snake get into the brooder one time and eat a couple of things, and I had a possum get into my brooder and kill some of my chickens. But other than that, as far as the quail hutches themselves go, nothing has gotten into them. Just the fox had gotten underneath and was pulling quail feet off. Silver Creek Aquatics says, we have 2 farm cats, and one of them sits on top of the aviary waiting for a pigeon and eyeballing the dove. Yeah, I can imagine they would do that. If they could get to them, they would. But so far, like I said, I've been lucky enough that I haven't had any issues with it. Blessed with Pets says, I can't wait for the chicken swap next Saturday. I'm going to try to sell a lot. Well, good luck. I hope that you do sell a lot. We've got some poultry swaps that go around here. I haven't been to one in a while. I don't know if they're still going on or not. I need to check. I know that during COVID and stuff, they shut down and didn't do them. But now I think they're all rolling again. But I just don't know. I haven't been to one for a while. It's always a good time. I always like a good poultry swap. Hardly ever buy anything, but it's always fun to go check everything out and check what people got. At the end of the comments, again, this is another time where I should have things planned out to discuss, but I don't. Silver Creek Aquatics says, Right, I haven't had any cat death issues with my birds either. I did have one accidental death with my Catalua dog when I was training them around the birds. So yeah, well, my dog, I've lost one or two birds to the dog when they get out, of the hutch. Silver Creek Aquatics says, wait, Blessed with Pets first says, I'm going to sell my turkeys, some rabbits, and some goats. Well, good luck. I hope you get them all sold. Silver Creek Aquatics says, they will actually monitor all the birds. If any of the quail get out, they will go and grab them and bring them back to us unharmed. Yeah, my dog's not terrible about killing birds. I mean, well, quail anyway. Everything else, any other small animal, he's great with other dogs, but other than that, any other small animal, he kills them. He killed a possum the other morning. Oh, I guess it's been about a week ago. It was about 6 o'clock in the morning. I think it was a Sunday morning or maybe a Saturday morning. I don't remember. But yeah, I just gotten out of bed, took him outside, go to the bathroom, and he went across the yard and grabbed something and shook it, and it was dead. And then I had to give him a bath because he had blood all over him. It was horrible. But yeah, for the birds, for some reason, he doesn't just kill them right away. He'll pin them down for me, and I can get him to let them go. And usually they're okay, but sometimes they're not. Emma says, I have a cat that doesn't bother my caged birds, although he brings presents of other birds home. Yeah, cats are good about that too. Silver Creek says, good doggo. Yeah, for sure. That's a good dog that will bring him back to you unharmed. Oh, Scott says BL means Bud Light. Well, I appreciate the gesture. I've never been a big Bud Light fan. That's not my style of beer. I'm not against having a beer every once in a while. Drinking is not sin. Drunkenness is sin. So I'm not against having a beer, but it wouldn't be a Bud Light that I would be drinking. Never has been my beer of choice. Just tastes like water to me. Just not good. But that's just me. Silver Creek says, yep, that's what mine do. Pin them down and just hold them or carry them off or carry them if they have to. Yeah, mine does not. He won't carry them to me. He won't bring them to me, but he will pin them down for me. And then usually I can get him to leave him alone. I can get him to always, if I get up to him and I say, okay, back, leave it, he drops it and I pick it up. But he won't pick them up and bring them to me. But for some reason, the quail, he does not just grab them, pick them up, and shake them like he does everything else. He'll just pin them down. Diana says, my cat doesn't bother my birds either. The birds don't like her hanging around. Yeah, I can imagine they wouldn't. It probably makes the birds pretty nervous. Scrap 5000 says, Chris, do you like wine? My dad, an Italian immigrant, makes his own. Anyone else? I'm not a big wine drinker either. Occasionally I've had some wines. They're okay. But it's just not normally I don't drink wine. It's not like one of those things that I normally drink. My wife likes it sometimes too. But that's interesting, making your own wine. It's it's a good skill to have, I guess. I do cook with wine fairly frequently. I just don't drink much wine. Emma says, question, do you change what feed you use during the wintertime? No, I use the same feed all winter, all summer. I feed all my birds a game bird starter. It's a 30% game bird starter. That's what they all get. Their entire lives, winter, summer, all the time. That's the only feed I feed them. It just makes it a little bit simpler. I don't see any reason to change anything up. But I use a pretty high protein feed too. So if you were thinking maybe adding some more fat or something like that to it, I don't think it's necessary. Jennifer says, I have gotten into mead making, honey wine. I've had mead before, like at a Renaissance festival or something. I don't know. It's not my favorite thing. It's not real good. I like beer. I'm a redneck. I like beer. So if I'm going to drink, it's probably going to be a beer. Silver Creek says, if it's over 80 outside, I'm raising milky fry out there. Oh, more fish talk. Okay. Milky fry. Yeah. Molly fry is what you're talking about, not milky fry. Milky fry sounds better. I like that. But I'm going to skip the fish talk because fish are just not my deal. Not from a raising them thing. Jacob says, what's your favorite beer? Right now, it is probably one called Space Dust. It's an IPA, very strong IPA. Pretty good. It's my favorite. I like craft beers. I don't drink that much, so I can afford to drink craft beers when I drink them. So I like, good, strong craft beers. We live in a great time for that too, and I was, yeah, cloudy beers for this guy. I like heavy IPA as well. Yeah, I like a good, strong, stout IPA. Once I didn't used to like them at all. Once you acquire a taste for it, though, it's like the best thing ever. It's great. I have found a couple other kinds of beers that I do like. We live in such a great time. Silver Creek says, I sip them, though. Don't like the drunk feeling. Yeah, if I start to feel the beer, I quit drinking and drink something else for a while. But anyway, we live in a good time if you like craft beers, because we were talking about this with my buddies the other days. Like when we were younger, there wasn't any of this craft beer. There wasn't any of this stuff around. We didn't have the options that we do now. Now we got breweries. We got a brewery in town. We got one in Alba, Missouri, which is not very far from here. It's just a little bitty nothing town. There's nothing there. There's like a Mexican restaurant and a brewery, and it's a little bar that brews their own beer, and they're rated the best in Missouri for several years. They have just fantastic craft beers. It's really pretty nice. I'm pretty happy about that. Scrap 5000 says Rangers win. I guess that's the hockey team, not the baseball team, but Joe Sandry says, I make and enjoy kombucha. Anybody else? I don't know that I've ever had it, honestly. I need to try it. I've made sauerkraut. I've made yogurt. I've made, a lot of those things, which I really like. But I don't know about kombucha. I've never tried it, really. Jacob says, next video idea, a tutorial on how to do a keg stand. Just kidding. Yeah, that wouldn't be me. I'm not a keg stand kind of guy. I'm not that big of a drinker, so I'm not going to do that. Practical Junk says, have you ever tried to grow fodder? Not fodder for my animals. I've grown, I've grown like microgreens and things like that, which is not that much different than growing fodder. So I kind of have the basic understanding. I know how to do it, but no, I've never really grown it for my animals. To me, it's just a little bit too much work. My animal, it's pretty easy to take care of the animals I have right now. And adding in fodder would just make it a little bit more work, and I don't really necessarily want to mess with it. But, you can absolutely do it if you want to. Silver Creek Aquatic says, Lakewood Brewery Temptress is an amazing milk stout in a 4-pack, and they're over 10%. Wow, over 10% is pretty stout. But, most of the good beers are. A milk stout, is it nitro? Milk stout nitro, or is it, it's got to be, right, with a milk stout? I do like a good stout. Milk stouts, some of them are really good. Some of them, not so much. And Silver Creek says, Rangers won too. They took the World Series. Go Texas Rangers. Awesome. Blessed with Pets says, all good. I may step up to the, you're talking about fish again. Let that go. Emma Ball says, question, can't all of my quail, wait. Okay, question. Can I put all of my currently separated males together during the window without them fighting? If they're not getting the daylight hours, they're outdoors, no artificial light. So if they're together already, and you just want to separate them out from the current and keep them together, probably be just fine. Keep the light off of them so you don't have to worry about them getting too hormonal and getting a little bit aggressively that way. But I don't know for sure. I've never tried to keep a lot of males together that are breeding age because I eat them. I don't see any reason to keep them that long, but that's just me. And if you've got them if you've got hens now and your roosters are with them, I don't see any reason to separate them out for the wintertime. If you do that, you're going to have a really hard time combining them back together later. So I don't know if I'm understanding the question or if I'm getting it right or if I got it answered. If not, let me know. We'll dive into it a little bit further, but I would say that, probably should be fine to keep them together. Can't guarantee there won't be any fighting because, sometimes quail just fight for whatever reason. The birds I have right now, I've got a cage full of roosters, nothing but roosters. I'm growing them out, so they're not quite sexually mature yet, but they are, they're getting close. They're starting to wanting to crow. They're not crowing, but they're making some noise. no fighting issues with them yet, but we'll see how that works out. But again, I'm not keeping them. Once they hit adults, I'm processing them. They're going in the freezer. So we'll see, though. Blessed with Pets says, I don't drink beer. I'm 15. Well, yeah, there's a good reason why you don't drink beer then, huh? Andy says, my dog has learned the new command, go in the house. It even worked over the camera speaker tonight. Well, good. I remember talking about that last week. So you got her trained. Good job. Andy says, I just got home. Sorry I'm late tonight. It's all good. You know the deal. We don't keep attendance here. Jacob Wolf says, do you have any good fried chicken recipes? I thought about trying to make my own at home. My favorite is battered fried like a Long John Silver's, Captain D's, or Arthur Teacher's. I don't know who Arthur Teacher's is. I think I've heard of it before, but we haven't had a Captain D's here in a very long time, since I was a kid, I think. But Long John Silver, that's probably just a beer batter, isn't it? I don't really know, honestly. No, I did a knockoff. I'm not the best at making fried chicken, honestly. I did a knockoff Kentucky Fried Chicken batter one time. I just looked up a recipe and found it. It wasn't bad. It was pretty good. But no, I don't have an excellent fried chicken recipe. It's just never been my specialty. For all the things, I'm not a bad cook. I'm a pretty decent cook. And I can cook a lot of things. But for some reason, never was able to figure out fried chicken and get it really, really good. I've made it once or twice that I've made it. It's turned out pretty good. The rest of the time, it's just kind of okay. Silver Creek says, not sure. I thought Nitro was a brand. If dark and smooth, just drink one. No, Nitro is the type of carbonation. If it's Nitro, it's carbonated with nitrogen, not carbonated with like natural yeast and all that kind of carbonation that usually in most other beers. So that's a different style. That's the way it's carbonated, basically. It doesn't really make that big of a difference. Andy Rabbit says, hey, Don, thanks for all the reminder. I would have missed it altogether. Jacob Wolf says, have you ever had Arthur Treacher's? It's my favorite, and I miss having it around. Not familiar with it at all. Never tried it. Silver Creek says, it's dark. Cracked screen again. Did you say something else? If the dark, and it's dark. I get it. Okay, I'm with you now. Oh, let's see. Silver. Wait. I missed something. There we go. Silver Creek says, I play Easter egg hunt every day, or better yet, my kids do. My kids do to get eggs. Oh, you're playing an Easter egg hunt to get eggs out of the aviary. You're actually making your kids do it. Well, that's what kids are for, right? Have people to do chores for you, huh? What was that? Something just popped up on my screen. I don't know what that was. It was weird. Sorry, got distracted. Andy Rabbit says, Buster, my Halloween hatch did good. 2 different incubators and 2 100% hatches from lockdown eggs. My granddaughter had an 86% from the lockdown eggs. Well, that's pretty good. Silver Creek says, my Corgi has started to become a man and is regressing in commands, but he's still a really good dude. Just takes extra persuasion sometimes on Corgis. Yeah, you know, the dog that, you've heard in the videos before probably. It's not as much of an issue now that I've got the rabbits moved out there, but it used to be when the rabbits were up against the house and I'd film the rabbit videos and we had that dog just incessantly barking in the background the whole time. That's a Corgi. That's the neighbor's Corgi. Blessed with Pets says, I won't ever drink. I was raised without any adult beverages in the house, and I just want to keep it that way. Well, that is fine. You can do that. Nobody's going to judge you. Well, somebody may judge you for that, but who cares? Don't drink. If you don't want to drink, don't drink. It's better. I've seen what alcoholism can do, and I've had a lot of alcoholism in my family. I grew up around it, so I understand completely. And it's better to not drink at all if you're going to have any problems with alcohol. Luckily, that's never been something I've struggled with. I can have a beer and just have one beer and be fine. I can go without a beer and be fine without one. It's just never been an issue for me, but I have seen it. Alcohol can be pretty damaging and pretty rough. Emma says, no, they're caged separately at the moment, but can I now group them together? I have them separate at the moment as I don't have enough females, but I want them for next year's breeding, 3 separate males. So you're talking about 3 separate male. Okay, 3 separate males. Well, there's a couple of ways you could do that. Yeah, you could try to group them together. What I would do is, if you don't have any artificial lights, wait till your current hens stop laying, your current roosters stop crowing, then try to group them together. You'll have better luck than you will like in the middle of breeding season. If you try to add new birds to your existing hutches, you're going to have a lot of problems. They're going to start fighting for territory. Now, I don't know how many birds you have in there, but you said you've got 3 roosters that you're keeping separate right now. You could add them into your current hutch. There's a couple of tricks that you can do there. Some people say mist them down with vinegar, all the birds with vinegar. That's supposed to help. I don't know why it would, but it's supposed to help. Or you can try to, move them all. If you have a new hutch, move them all to a new hutch. And that's new territory for all the birds. And that should help with that too. There's a couple of ideas, or you can just throw them in there and see if they make it. Now, what I would do personally is I would eat the 3 roosters and I would hatch out eggs from my other hens and keep roosters from that as my breeders. But that's just the way I would do it. Red Arrow says, I have about 10 roosters together that hatched back in July. Haven't had time to process them yet, but they're getting along well, and I agree. I think the shorter days are part of the reason. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, so Silver Creek Aquatic says, I looked up the milk stout. It's a very lightly carbonated with lactose and vanilla in it. It's like a 9.1. Well, that doesn't sound bad at all. There's a vanilla stout. Breckenridge, I think, makes it. A Breckenridge Brewery vanilla stout that's pretty good. And when I was in Destin, Florida, we went to a McGuire's Irish pub there. It's a pretty famous place. If anybody's been around there, they probably know it. But they had an Irish stout there that was, the best Irish stout I've ever had. It was very, very good. Joe Sandry says, once a hen starts laying, does her egg always look the same or does it change? I honestly don't know. I've heard some people say that you could identify the hen that laid the egg by the spots, that their spots are unique to them, but I've never been able to prove that out because to me it just looks like chaos. So I don't know. I haven't saved eggs from day to day and really kind of compared them to see if they're exactly the same every single day. I really don't know. Silver Creek Aquatic says, LOL, yep, corgis require attention in mass. I don't want another toddler in the house. Oh, if you don't want another toddler in the house, don't get a corgi. Yeah, I kind of like corgis. They're kind of cool dogs, but that is the yippiest dog ever. Silver Creek says, on my hands, the pattern stays the same. But I've got a weird oddball hen that lays a double yoker almost every time she lays. Just a particular red, or just a production red too. But she's girthy. Okay. Silver Creek says hens, not hands. Okay, my hens lay the same pattern every time. Okay, well maybe they do. Joe Sandry says one hen seems to have large dark brown splotches. The newest layer has tiny, tiny speckles. Well, I don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe they will stay the same. Silver Creek says new layers will change in shape for a couple of weeks. I've noticed that for sure. Yeah, new layers, when your birds are first started laying, whether it's like they first came of age or they stopped laying and then they started laying again after a while, a lot of times you'll just get weird eggs. Like little bitty eggs, great big eggs with no shell on them, all kinds of things like that. We got about 6 minutes left here. Let's see what we can get through in the 6 minutes we got left. Blessed with Pets says, I may pick up some quail at the swap, but I can't decide because Oh, okay. Blessed with Pets says, I may pick up some quail at the swap, but I can't decide because I know they poop a lot, but I would like to use them for eggs to hatch. Well, they do. Yeah, there's a lot of waste that comes with them, but hasn't been a terrible terrible issue for me. Silver Creek Aquatic says, Destin has beautiful beaches. The sand is harmonic, makes music when you step on it, like a violin almost. Yeah, it was pretty. I get kind of bored with the the beach and the ocean because it's just the same thing for as far as you can see. But it was pretty. I took some pretty cool pictures down there. We had a good time. We were down there with family, went on vacation. I don't think I want to go back anytime soon. I'd rather go see other things. It's very much like Branson on the beach to me. Very much like that. Well, the boardwalk is anyway. Jacob Wolf says, anyone have any recommendations on a dehydrator? I'm looking at Mossy Oak ones from Walmart. Looking forward to making some jerky with the dehydrator again. I think I've got a cheap one. I don't know what brand it is, but honestly, a dehydrator is dehydrator. I don't know if there's anything. Andy Rabbit says Excalibur dehydrator is my favorite. Yeah, but those are pretty pricey, aren't they? I don't know, honestly. I've heard of Excalibur, but I think they're pretty high dollar. So I'm pretty sure, I don't know, the Mossy Oak one from Walmart is what you said. Let me look that up real quick. I'm sure it's going to work just fine. Yeah, those are pretty cheap. Excalibur, though, I think they're, let me look that up real quick. Excalibur dehydrator. Yeah, they're a little higher dollar, a couple $100. Emma says, I can identify which hen laid my egg from my flock too. Well, there you go. I guess they do lay the same patterns. Silver Creek says, some with a massive bloom on the end of them. It's crazy, some of the eggs you get. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you get some crazy eggs for sure, especially when they first start laying. Joe Sandry says, love my Excalibur. Yeah, I'd probably love it too, but I just can't justify $300 for a dehydrator. Silver Creek Aquatic says, I haven't been to Branson yet. I'm trying to talk my family into vacation on the east side of the United States now. We frequent Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, Arkansas, and Florida. Well, if you make it to Arkansas, you're not far from Branson. I mean, depending on what part of Arkansas you're going to. Yeah, Branson's nice. I like Branson. I like the Ozarks quite a bit, so I like the area around Branson a lot. But it is, it's not very far from me. It's like an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half drive. Bless with Pet says maximum bar space for quail. Maximum bar space? Are you talking about the cage space, like the wire gauge squares? I think I use 1/2-inch hardware cloth on mine right now. You could go a little bit bigger than that, but you don't want to go too big on the spacing, especially on the floor. The sides is not as big of a deal, but on the floor, because it's just their feet fall through if it's too big. So I think if you're using like a coated PVC or a coated hardware cloth, you can go like 1 by 1/2 inch, something like that would work pretty well. But that's about as big as of spacing as I would want to go. Andy says, my Celadon eggs didn't do so great. Out of 38 eggs, 9 went into lockdown and all 9 hatched. I have some more coming next week. The post office was a little hard on them. Oh, that's too bad. Hopefully that gets better, though. Joe Sandry says, just make sure whatever dehydrator you buy has a thermostat and a fan. Okay, that's an interesting thing. Silver Creek says, yeah, Emma, my wife can do that with the egg, with every egg we have. I love it. Yeah, I don't pay much attention to it. Don says, I have a Nesco dehydrator and I have 8 trays with it. I think that's probably what I have too. It's a Nesco or a, what's the other? It starts with a P. Pretty common brand that makes all kinds of, is it Presto? I don't know. Sandman says, I'm late to the party tonight, but I wanted to say hi, and I used your quail coop as a template for mine. Thanks. Well, you're absolutely welcome. Thanks for joining. You're almost out of time. I mean, we're almost done, but hey, we don't keep attendance here, so I'm glad you made it for any time at all, and thanks for the compliment on the video with the quail hutch build. I'm glad it worked out for you. Bless with Pet says, talking about more about fish. Joe Sandry says, I dehydrate a lot and often. That's how I could justify the cost. I outgrew my previous dehydrator. Hey, nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying it's not right for you. I'm not judging. I just can't justify it for me. If I make jerky, I usually do it in my smoker. Sometimes in the dehydrator, but I haven't used my dehydrator in a while. So, Sandman says a few things I changed was put a panel from a ceiling light fixture to cover the enclosed side, and I added 2 plastic trays from dog kennels under the right side to catch debris. I have less of a mess underneath the ground. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Sounds like it's working out well for you. So great improvement. Don says someone said a couple of weeks ago for jumbo they used 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch and said Poofall thought it through much better than 1 by 1/2. I don't have any issues. I use 1/2 inch and I don't have any issues with it getting stuck on top. But there you go, 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch. Scrap says I got my Excalibur from Cabela's using credit card points. That's a good way to get it. Bob says, wish they made 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch coated hardware cloth. That would be great for floors. Yeah, it would. Blessed with Pets says, well, I've got a rabbit hutch I was thinking about using for quail, but I'm not sure what size wire quail could fit through. That would probably work. I mean, I don't know what size holes you have in there, but if it's a standard rabbit cage, it'd probably work. You're going to need to do something about the floor, though. That's too big a gap on the floor for their feet. Joe Sandry says, Chris, I watched a lot of your older cooking videos today. Love them. Thanks. Well, thank you for watching. I appreciate that. And then Scrap says, anyone watch the Yellowstone show? I highly recommend it. We've been watching it. We're waiting for like the rest of season 4 to get recorded so we can watch it on the DVR. But yeah, it's a pretty good show. It's not bad. It's not terrible. It's a secular show. Let's put it that way. So they get a little bit, a lot of foul language and stuff like that in there pretty frequently. But it's not a bad show. I kind of liked it. I liked 1883. We watched that. I liked that one actually better. It was really good. Les says I could take the wire grate out and make it a solid bottom. You could do that. That might work. Yeah, Joe Sandry's saying the same thing. I so wanted to watch Yellowstone, but the F-bomb every 2 seconds put me off. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah, I agree. It's a little bit, I mean, the show itself's pretty good, but it is a little bit offensive in that sense. Definitely not for young kids, for sure. Interesting. All right, guys, I got to wrap this one up. We're about 3 minutes past 9 o'clock, so I got to get this one wrapped up. Got to work tomorrow. You guys know the drill. Thanks for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. We should see you guys back again next Thursday night. I'll do my best to get another video out for you this weekend. Not sure what I'm going to film yet, but I'll do something. I'll try to get something out. And Blessed with Pets says, will quail use a ramp to go into the closed section? Probably. You'd have to try it and find out. More than likely they will. I know other people have set up similar things. So, all right, I got to quit looking at comments. No more for tonight. Hope everybody has a great evening. We'll see you guys again next week. As always, God bless.